Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus proposed another parable to the crowds, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be likened to a man who sowed good seed in his field. While everyone was asleep, an enemy came and sowed weeds all throughout the wheat and then went off. When the crop grew and bore fruit, the weeds appeared as well. The slaves came to him and asked, 'Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? Where have the weeds come from?' He answered, 'An enemy has done this.' The slaves said to him, 'Do you want us to go and pull them up?' He replied, 'No, if you pull up the weeds, you might uproot the wheat along with them. Let them grow together until harvest. Then at harvest time I will say to the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles for burning, but gather the wheat into my barn.'" The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I was stationed at St. Jude's from 1976 until 1998. For the first 10 years, I was a resident because I was editor of the Lakeshore Visitor. But then from 1986 to 1998, I was the pastor. And I think I can honestly say that during those 12 years, I was in the school every single day. I remember one particular little student who had this impish grin on his face all the time. He'd look up at me and say, "Hi, Father Kriegel," and I'd say, "Adam, I know you've done something wrong, but we can never catch you at it." He'd say, "Not me, Father Kriegel." He grew up to become an incredible, incredible athlete. He was a great swimmer, and if I recall correctly, he was number one in the state of Pennsylvania. And he was also just a nice, nice kid. I knew his parents very well, and so I was around him more often than around a lot of the other children. And then once, just once, he fooled around with drugs, and his life began to take a downward spiral that none of us could believe. He would go into rehab, he'd get dried out, he'd come out, and a week later he was back on drugs. He'd go back into rehab. He tried, sometimes he won, more and more increasingly the drugs were winning. His parents tried, I tried, his siblings tried. Everyone exhausted ourselves. And then finally I had to bury him. And I think it was one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life. And it raises the nagging question, why do bad things happen to good people? Why did that young man's life have to end so tragically? Why did his parents have to endure such pain? Today's gospel is supposed to answer that question for us. Jesus tells the parable that God will not separate the bad from the good until the end of time. I don't know about you, that simply doesn't answer the question for me. Why do bad things happen to good people? And I guess when I have my back against the wall with the question, the only thing I can say is that God is obviously wiser than I am, and I have to trust him. It's called faith, and nobody ever said it would be easy. Amen.